Hi, this is Phoenix, and I would like to talk a little bit about my satirical novel Contorted Royal. You can find the book on my author page at amazon.com/author/phoenix_rises, and it will be free for Kindle until September 15th of 2017. I'd like to talk a little bit about the book to give you an idea of what you're getting into if you decide to download a free copy of the book. And I think there is a lot that I could say, such as the fact that this book tends to grow on me because I was actually kind of disappointed in this book because it seems so far removed from what I would normally write, which was often very heavy works. But I guess what Contorted Royal taught me was to not take myself too seriously, and that humor can be done, and be done well, even if it's very dark and even a little bit cerebral. I really like this book upon further reflection because I like what it seeks to do and what it sought to do. It was inspired by books like Joseph Heller's Catch-22. And it has a cast of very colorful characters such as Brannon, the Dark Kid, the Black Queen, the Jack of Knives, and the Suicide King. The Jack of Knives is an interesting character because he doesn't really understand his innocence, and yet he has a lot of that innocence, and this is interesting because he can be a little bit murderous and violent, and yet he also is still a kid who's living in a strange land called Contorted Royal, and there are a whole bunch of betrayals and backstabbings. But the Jack of Knives, I think, is one of the warmest characters I've been able to create, despite the fact that he has his knives, because I think that he really makes an impact for the storyline itself and really engages with the characters. There's also the Dark Kid, who has been in my book, The Street Kid, as well. The Street Kid of which takes place after Contorted Royal, just in a different world and a different place from Contorted Royal itself. And the Dark Kid is very gentle, and he's the Jack of Knives sidekick. And the two are definitely able to have a lot of good times. There's a scene at the bar where they basically get into a fight, and it's really intense. There's also the Black Queen, who I was inspired by the idea of the Black Queen whenever I was trying to create a really compelling female character in my mind to turn into a character for a book. And I thought of my small black phone, which reminded me of, strangely enough, a feminine beauty. And it wasn't long before I thought of the Black Queen as potentially being a character. And that storyline specifically plays into the Street Kid. But she becomes a full-flesh character by the time I write Contorted Royal, with her own problems trying to deal with her mental illness and not really necessarily succeeding. There's also the Suicide King, who is obsessed with suicide, as you can imagine, and doesn't necessarily make the best decisions, even though he realizes that he's is very self-destructive. I would say a lot of these characters are very dynamic. There's also Brannon, who I really enjoy as a character, specifically because of the way that he talks, the way that he rhymes, and the way that he communicates with other people is very eloquent and poetic. And I was glad that I was able to accomplish that with Brannon. Now, I have these interesting characters that I've described, and you might be wondering a little bit why I was disappointed in my book for a while. Well, that was because some of the techniques that I used in the book I didn't think were that effective, specifically the humor and the fact that I would undermine serious topics like mental illness and social dysfunction with humor. But I feel like that was the point of this book. It really did take its cue from a lot of the satirical novels that have been written over the past few centuries, and that was my goal, and I feel like I accomplished that. So I hope that you will download your free copy of my book Contorted Royal, which again you can find on my author page for Kindle at amazon.com/author/phoenix_rises. This is Phoenix, and thank you.